FriYay. Just clicking some buttons here. Doing that thing. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day. And this is Ask a Traffic Cop, that show on the internet that allows me some time to answer your traffic and police questions. It's that awesomeness that is something that we do. We do it for you. Yes, the reason we are here is to answer those questions, because where else do you get information like this? I don't know. Google? Can you trust Google? We've got the answers, and you can trust us because we're actually here to help you. Why would we be telling you things? Why do we talk about the law? We want you to understand it, truly. If you understand it and you know what the rules are, chances are you'll choose to follow the rules. There's no the ignorance of the law is not a defense, right? So if you don't know the rules and you break them, you're still responsible. So we want you to have all the tools in your toolkit so you know exactly what's right and wrong, and you do the right thing by us. Of course, if you're watching, you're on one of these platforms, because we're currently broadcasting on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and the platform formerly known as Twitter, formerly, not formally. Yeah, it's X, and you can't ask us questions on X because it don't work with Restream. But if you go to trafficcop.ca, you can get links to our YouTube channel. Straight in you go, and you'll be able to ask us questions there. So hang on for the ride. This ride lasts for an hour, well, less than 4 minutes that I've been babbling on. And yeah, it's fun. We always have fun. Today's a FriYay celebration, and it's a birthday celebration for some people who will not be named but know who they are. Happy birthday to you. And if it is a happy birthday for anybody else, happy birthday to everybody else too. But I'm specifically talking to you, that one person who you know who you are. Yeah, happy birthday. Akela Dracona is coming in from YouTube with a good morning greetings and salutations message. They won't be able to make it on Monday's show because they have a 4-hour staff meeting. Ooh, and it's his birthday on Sunday. Do we do birthdays in advance? Is that bad luck or something? Do you believe in luck? I will say happy birthday to you on Sunday, but I will not say it to you early. I'm reading. I'm not wishing. I'll give it to you on your birthday. Akela, good. I look forward to Sunday on your birthday. Okay. That's a reason. September's a good month for people, isn't it? It's a good birthday month. And Tim Shallow coming in with a good morning. Happy Friday. Stephen Bell coming in. Interesting that my microphone is lower today. Let's see. Tim Shallow's coming in with a good morning and happy Friday. Oh, sorry, it was Stephen Bell with a good morning, happy Friday. And Big Jeff Fresh says that my mic was low. Maybe I was just too far away from it. I hear the difference now. Is this better? Let me know. We have Zombie with a yay FriYay. Friday's the best day. I haven't been here for a couple of days, and that made me sad because I love it when I'm here. Talking to y'all, but I was off site doing training to be recertified as a CPST and actually a child passenger seat technician educator, to train the trainer to get more people on board to do stuff that we do to inspect and teach people about safety and child restraint systems for cars. We want kids to be safe. We want everyone to be safe. Let me make it clear. We want everyone to get to where they're going and back home again every day. But those little people that you put in, we call them children, they need a little more. And we really, there's a lack of understanding and education when it comes to that. So many parents who don't mean to do the wrong thing that are, well, doing the wrong thing. Statistics say 73% of child passenger car seats and restraints are installed incorrectly. Hey, look at that. Cybex put that information out on a piece of paper. It must be true. Actually, it is. We confirmed it. They talk about other things. They talk about, this is a manufacturer, Cybex, but I went to a safety summit, a child safety summit recently, and they gave me that piece of paper. So I love it. I folded it, so I can't frame it now. That also makes me sad. What do we got here? I want to talk to you about Vision Zero Enforcement Team very quickly before we get into stuff and things, and that is that our magical team of enforcement officers who focus on the big four, that's speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving, are currently, right now, in 31 Division and 43 Division, focused on driver behaviors that lead to serious injury and death on the roads. And where are those divisional areas? What neighborhoods am I talking about? Well, to give you an idea, sampling. Black Creek, Humbermead, Glenfield, Downsview, Bendale, Woburn, Highland Creek, West Hill, Guildwood. Those are neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. If it was your neighborhood, you'd want us there protecting you. And the truth is, we're everywhere, like City TV. We are everywhere, but we focus on different areas. See, we have police officers that are assigned to different areas, but Division 0 enforcement team officers float around the city, and they go and put a little extra in those areas, because statistically, they need to be there on the days that they're there. People, big brain people, they tell us where to go. They are the analysts who figure out what corridors, what areas need more attention than others. We'll talk about lots of stuff today. I hope everyone's first week back to school has been going well. I was just talking to a chap at the front who may not want to be named, so I will leave names out of it. But about were there tears, what kind of stories, tales of woe, and I got to say that week one has been pretty good. I've heard some interesting stories of friends made, friends lost, frenemies, people who are arch nemesis or arch enemies. Yeah, I've had some great stories about the days at school, and it makes me, it brought me back. It brought me back to think about what it used to be like to go to school. I see amazing, like I used to get dropped off. It was a big hike. I got dropped off at school, and then I eventually, I made my own way. I'm talking going way back. What I can't get over right now is how many schools have lineups down the street of parents picking up their children. Down the street. I got stuck behind a line of traffic yesterday. That was there's no other ridiculous. Every student in that school, I think, was being picked up by their parent. It was a colossal traffic jam. So there's got to be a better way. Like, meet somewhere else. Meet on a side street. Your kids can walk a block. For real. What's happening in some schools, we're talking about safety. That's not safe, because then you create situations where drivers do all sorts of wild and crazy things to get around you, and they're not safe either. But one builds to the other, and everyone gets panicked, and no one's getting anywhere on time. We got to do better. Okay. Stevens was happy to see us back. Okay. Big Jeff Fresh with a question. First question, traffic related. So I know driver's licenses need to be the actual card, and registration can be the original or a true copy, which means photocopied on both sides, or photocopies of both sides. And insurance can be digital through a provided app, but can an insurance slip be printed from home? So temporary slips are generally acceptable in that way, but technically speaking, they shouldn't be printed from home. They should be on that security paper, that pink paper with the, sometimes they're forged, but a simple printout shouldn't be acceptable, because I have Photoshop and all sorts of other wonderful desktop publishing things, and I can make fake anything. If that's acceptable, then we're not helping ourselves. Official document created by the insurance company, or an electronic verifiable secure delivery system. Yeah. Will an officer accept it? They might. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to do my due diligence. I'm still going to check and contact the insurance company, because that's just the kind of officer I am. I'm going to do my investigation. And you might be fine. You might be. And it's better than nothing. But in an ideal world, that wouldn't be the way to go. Okay, Zombie says, I finally got a dash cam. Hooray. Do I have a applauso? Do I have applause? Hold on. No. What is that? No, that's a DJ air horn. Definitely not applause. Okay, you get a Wookiee. Yeah, that's amazing. And you got that's interesting. A dash cam for your stroller? Now, is it a dash cam or is it a 360 cam? Because I think those are pretty cool. We see them on all sorts of things. But either way, congratulations. I think that dash cams are the bee's knees. They are the best thing ever. I record all sorts of things. Some of it I share with you, and some of it I obviously don't. But it is amazing what you catch when you're looking for it. And I have a button, a big red button that says, just like in the police car, we can manually activate a recording. I use that a lot. I like that. So good for you. I think, and this is a personal recommendation, that everybody on the road record their interactions with everybody else on the road by way of a dash cam. You never know. Nothing is better than a dash cam for having an independent recording of the events. If you're watching on TikTok, this is important. Ask questions. Use a letter Q in front of your question, so that, JD's not even here. That's why I'm not seeing stuff. Let me message JD and see if he's showing up, because JD didn't show up. Hang on one second. Normally he's logging in. I'm sending him a message. Hello. Yeah, he's usually here before I am. Okay, that would be why we have questions coming in from TikTok. I will do my best to scroll back and get as many as possible. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'm going back to scroll everything to the beginning of the conversation because maybe he got tied up with stuff and things. I don't know. It wasn't my turn to watch him. Okay, word. Excuse me. I got a tickle in my throat today. It's not good. Not WordPad. I want Word. I can't believe WordPad exists. Mind you, we're using the 2016 version of Microsoft Word. All right, hang on a second. Hold on. But yeah, if you got questions, put a Q in front of them so I know it's a question as opposed to dialogue amongst friends. And then, yeah, that's the story. Okay. All right, I'm scrolling up, and we'll jump into some of those in a second. And Ubaz says, hello, officer, and good morning, TikTok traffic cop Sean from Urban Nietzsche. Hey, haven't seen you in a while. Welcome. When I am solo, I see all the comments and I get to see folks that I haven't seen because when JD takes your questions, I only see the questions. I don't see all the dialogue of the, hey, how's it going, and whatnot. So cool. All right. Liz says, not working today, but I'm a supply teacher. Worked yesterday without air conditioning. Oh man, that must have been. We were outdoors installing car seats yesterday and the day before, sweltering. So I feel you. That's not fun. And talking about schools, Liz says, yes, I have to school early or get stuck behind a lineup of parents dropping their kids at school. Super frustrating. This is where having parking enforcement out, having police officers out to help re-educate and remind people what safe things they can do or not do. Think about this. Parent lines start and then school buses can't get in. The whole school system hinges because people don't want to walk a block. Park and walk the last block. That's what you should do. Okay. Liz wants to know what the difference is between a callback and overtime. I think that a paid duty and a callback. So, good question. We don't just talk about traffic stuff, we talk about traffic and police stuff. So, a callback is where we need additional officers and that is above the strength requirement than what we have available in on-duty resources. So, we have, I'm going to make up numbers, 5 officers. They're required for the 5 officer spots that we have normally, but we have a special project. We need 10 officers. We have to go to off-duty resources and call them back in, and it's overtime, and it's paid for by the service out of the police budget. When it is a paid duty, that is something that is not out of the police budget. That is something that is paid by a private company. It's construction or Blue Jays or a mall that needs, or an event that needs traffic or security control, and they will pay. The company will pay the service to pay the salary of the officer who's going to go do a duty, and then the police officers are working for that company. Still responsible for being a police officer, but their focus of their efforts are on the customer's requirements. And very often, because I know this is going to be a follow-up question for somebody watching, I could be doing a paid duty. I worked a concert once upon a time, a long time ago since I've done a paid duty, was working in an Avicii? What's somebody tell me? Ceviche? No, Ceviche is something else. Anyway, it was a big concert. There was a lot of drugs being used and alcohol and whatnot. We had people just collapsing everywhere, and it was we had ambulances. That went into intense overtime. And it turned into, I ended up making an arrest there. And the arrest was then turned over and it became an on-duty. Anyway, it was a big mess. But yeah, it's not that at that point, my role changed from paid duty to callback, I believe. Anyways. Okay. Oh, so Zombie's using a dash cam with a portable power bank on that's a really creative way to do it. I didn't think about using an actual, because dash cams can be gotten for a really good price. You can get really low cost dash cams, and running it on a power bank makes a lot of sense. Cool. I think it's very, I think that's a show of ingenuity. Very cool. But definitely having, even as a pedestrian, I think having a GoPro, some motorcycle operators, wearing GoPros, not on the helmet because that's illegal, but wearing it on their person on a harness, really good idea, because again, you get into a collision situation and they said, as opposed to actual evidence of what happened. Stephen disagrees with having an electronic version of your insurance because if you get pulled over, you need to surrender it. Your phone dies. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to get a ticket. That's the problem. That's where having a power bank is a good idea. All right. 10:17, and we're way behind. Sam got a 30-day suspension. It's been more than 30 days. It hasn't been lifted. I paid the fines. Sam, when you get a suspension, you need to pay a reinstatement fee. So you've got to go and actually go to the ministry and pay to have your license reinstated. You don't. It doesn't just get lifted because it expired. So that's important to know. If you just chill out, your license will never show up. It very much, very important. We got a question from Ahmad Henda, who says, I got a speeding ticket going 220. You think I was lucky that he didn't tow my car? 220? How did you get it? What did you get a speeding ticket for? That's absolutely stunt driving. You should have been criminally charged for dangerous driving. Your vehicle absolutely should have been, towed. Where were you? Were you in Canada? Like, are you in Ontario? Because that's not something that we should be giving you a warning for. Just saying. Urban Nietzsche says it's his baby sister Chelsea's birthday today. Happy birthday, Chelsea. That's awesome. Hello from Yizbrazi. I don't know if I pronounced that right. O-Town Boy says, good morning, Sean. Did you ever do radio for a living? I have never done radio for a living. I did compete last year in a competition called Radio Star, and I came in third internationally. Although I've never been a radio personality, I've never had a show, I've never done. I do guest on a number of radio shows doing what I do here, but I've never actually been employed as a radio person, although I've been told I should. So maybe when I retire, somebody will knock on my door and say, hey, want to be on our radio show? Or I want to have a radio show? I think TikTok Traffic Cop, or Ask a Traffic Cop could be a regular show on its own. We can do 3 hours of this. Come on. Like Jerry Agar does 2 or 3 hours a day, and we go on to a show for 10 or 20 minutes, depending on the week. But every day, what we do is every day here. Why do we need a radio station? We're doing it without the radio. And we podcast it. By the way, this episode, as with every episode before it, since we started duplicating these. So you can go onto YouTube, watch all the old episodes. There's like 3 years of these. If you go on to podcasting apps, you can get yesterday's today. And then you can listen to it when you're in the car, sync it and then listen to the podcast while you're driving and not burn data. Mind you, you could listen to it and not sync it in advance. It'll still work. You just burn your data on the road. Can you tell me an amber light ticket meant? This is from Hapt 499. Let's see. I will copy. I will paste. I will put it on the screen for you. Here we go. So, what does an amber light ticket mean? Big shocker. Amber lights, yellow lights, they mean stop. Most people think they mean, you should go faster so you make the red. But the truth is, amber light means stop, unless it's unsafe to do so. So if you are approaching a stale green and it turns yellow, and it turns yellow just as you cross the line, hey, that's what it's there for. It would be unsafe for you to try to go from 60 to 0. You'd cause a collision. That is not meant for stopping. However, if you are approaching at a reasonable distance, and you see an amber light, you should stop. It's actually pretty simple. If you then go through the yellow and a police officer observes you and determines that you should have stopped and had the ability to stop safely, then expect a ticket. That is, what is the fine for it? I think it's $180. It's cheaper than if you run a red. Not that you should be looking for a discount. You should just follow the rules, not too dangerous stuff. But let's see here. Amber light. No, not somber. Has anyone noticed their keyboard on the Apple has gone bananas? Amber light. Failed just no. Amber light. I'm just amber. It's not truly a fuzzy search. Amber light. Failed to stop. $180. See, I was right. And it comes with a 3 demerit points. So it says here, every driver approaching a controlled Sorry, a traffic control signal showing a circular amber indication and facing the indication shall stop his or her vehicle if he or she can do so safely. Otherwise, he or she may proceed with caution. That doesn't mean as you approach, you accelerate and go through. That is very much not what it means. Okay. Big Jeff Fresh gets a response from Liz to Big Jeff Fresh. Do we just read out there? I guess everybody wants to know now. What was the response? I'm not crazy about apps for exactly your reason. Also, if more than one person drives the car, they all need the app. Lastly, my parents don't have data on their mobile phones. Yeah, that is a problem. You have to have it accessible and presentable and sendable. I believe that's a function that has to be in the app, according to Chase. Where is Chase? Chase, are you there? Kayla Dracona says, if I could get tomorrow's show today, that would be handy. Tomorrow's show today would be amazing. We just need that time travel all hooked up. Okay, how do you accumulate demerit points? If you have a demerit point, is it a good thing or a bad thing? It's like golf. You want a score of 0. You want no demerit points. The more demerit points you accrue, the sooner or you eventually lose your license. Now, they do expire after 2 years from the date of the offense, which means they're not there forever. But if you have too many of them on there at the same time, you're going to lose your license. And it's depending if you have a full license or if you have a G-class license versus a learner's license, it takes fewer to trigger a suspension. In fact, aside from the long collection of demerits, if you get any ticket that comes with 4 or more demerits, you trigger a suspension as a learner anyway. Sarosh Chowdhury says, can you run people over if someone tries to rob or hijack you with a weapon? You're not supposed to run people over. I understand the concept of emergent situation, but you're never like authorized to run people over. But you obviously need to get away from the situation. So you might get arrested, you might go to court, but at the end of the day, it will be up for a judge to determine if what you did was justified or not, but not a good move. Avoiding these situations, like if they're in front of you, go backwards. Z, opinion on motorcycle lane filtering. Okay, let's talk about it. Let me put it on screen. It even comes a little icon. Here we go. So, my opinion is this. I understand why it would be nice. I understand why some people interpret it as safe. And I think in certain circumstances it could be safe. However, the law does not support it. It is careless driving, stunt driving, or even criminal dangerous driving, depending on what the rider is doing when they're observed. See, if everyone just putted around at 10K above the speed limit of the other vehicles, it probably wouldn't be a big deal. I'm not saying it's legal, it's not. But in a perfect world where you were permitted to do it under certain circumstances, 10K speed differential probably wouldn't be a big deal. The problem is we're not seeing that. First of all, we're seeing the average vehicle 20 to 30 kilometers over the posted limit. So for lane filtering, lane splitting to be effective, people are doing even faster than that, which would make them speeding 30, 40, or 50 kilometers over the posted speed limit. Not okay. If you're talking about filtering at a stopped position where you're just getting to the front of the pack, again, I get it. Keeps you away from the rear ending or being rear-ended by a vehicle that's paying attention to their phone instead of the road or what have you. There's a benefit there. And I personally would not have a problem with someone tucked in and went 1 or 2 car lengths up and stopped. The problem is when you're driving 10, 15 car lengths up, getting to the front of the pack, taking off, and then doing the same thing at the next. It is not safe. It is not safe. Just being, and it's not supported by law, so don't do it. But I'm a motorcycle guy, and I understand the plague of trying to avoid cagers. Let's see here. All right. I'm not sure what username your mom, why they want to share this information, but I'm happy to talk about it. So they say, I have will run plates, radar detector, cop comms, and a 700 I guess WHP is wheel horsepower. I think you're probably full of it, but let's say, because I think we already got the will run person in York Region recently. They were arrested. Radar detector, okay, $170 fine. Plus we seized the device. You have radio, encrypted radios. I doubt that that's accurate. You might have 700 wheel horsepower, but if you are a wheel run person, you're a tool. So, okay. Let's see here. Liz, for that person who asked about amber light ticket, had safely stopped for a stale yellow. The car behind me changed lanes at speed at the yellow. A TPS officer had stopped that car. Yes. Yes, that's a perfect example. But I've also seen people who pull out and pass people at stop signs who are stopping. Like, there are bad drivers, and then there's absolutely insane drivers. And I would classify someone who pulls out to pass someone who is stopping for a light. They're unsafe. They're unsafe. Hey, it's JD. Just popped in. Cool. Which is good, because I'm slowly catching up through a whole bunch that were safe. So there's probably a lot of new questions that are in the queue. If you work from the bottom up, I'm working from the top down. Pete Schweddy, who says, who has the right of way on a green light? Car turning right or incoming car turning left? The answer to that is the car turning right, because they're not crossing over a path of oncoming traffic. So both are responsible to ensure that the turn can be made in safety, but the deal is that the car turning across another direction of traffic does not have the right of way. The person making the right would in that scenario. But they're both responsible for ensuring that the turn can be made in safety. Okay. So here's an interesting conversation that usually upsets a lot of people. Let's put this on the screen. Sending it. Okay. Can you speed if someone in your car is dying and you're on your way to the hospital? First of all, how do you know they're dying? I mean, I get it. Someone's bleeding or they're shot, or how do you know they're dying? Secondly, are you sure that moving them is the best way to go? Stabilizing a patient is one of the first things that paramedics do. They provide priority, what is it called? It's not just, it's life-saving paramedic care. There's another word for it that's escaping me right now. But anyway, they're doing stuff before they move them. They stabilize the patient. They take direction. They know what's going on. They also have a professional driver who has got lights and sirens, and they're doing it as safely as they can, whereas you would probably be speeding and doing things and under tremendous stress. You might not get to the hospital. You may actually end up killing the person who's already in dire straits and never getting to the hospital. In fact, you might end up in a collision, and you may never get there for that reason and cause yourself to be injured along with other people. So 911 is the thing you do. You call for an ambulance. That's the only option. If you choose to drive someone, okay, we established that you would not be providing stabilization and medical care on the way, so they may not make it there. But if you don't speed, at least you're being safer when you're on your way. You don't take anybody else out. So that would be my suggestion to you. No, you do not have an authority to speed is the more direct answer. Question from Ash. I heard you can ignore stop signs on private property with no ticket, X running stop signs in mall lot. Okay, so you can't get charged for running a stop sign because it's not the highway, unless it's an actual road. It may be a road that runs inside of a mall parking lot. You have to make sure you want to make sure it's actually private property and not a city road that runs in between pieces of property. Anyway, it's not enforceable for stop sign, but it could be dangerous driving. That's criminal, and we can charge you anywhere for that. It could be stunt driving if you're doing it in conjunction with other activities that would establish stunt driving, and that is punishable or chargeable on private property. So the real answer is it's for safety. Like, stop signs make sense. It's for safety. So why would you can't ignore them. You shouldn't ignore them. Let me rephrase. Is any sticker on a plate an obstruction? Is any sticker on the plate? Well, the validation stickers of yesteryear are not. But if you were to put like a Pokemon sticker over the center of the crown of your Ontario license plate, yeah, that's modifying or obstructing, and you could find yourself in doo-doo. In doo-doo. Let's see here. Can you 160 on Canadian roads? If you do, you should be expecting a stunt driving charge and the seizure of your vehicle, and at least the impoundment of your vehicle, and losing your license for 30 days. The impoundment's for 14 days. Dash cam should be mandatory, according to Max. I agree with you, Max. Elegy. I don't know how to pronounce your name. 74 says, damn, do you ever work? I'm working right now. This is answering questions and educating people. This is work. Try answering the same questions every day for 3 years. That's really work. No, we get a lot of different, get a lot of the same questions asked differently. We also get a lot of new questions, and it's good discussion. But I'm working. The person waiting to answer the phone downstairs is working. I showed up. Where are you? Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, I'm caught up with what I had. Let me close this. I don't need this anymore. Don't save. All right. Opening this window. 126. Wow. New messages. Okay. Hey, you coming in?
I got some time.
Okay. I'm moving over because we got the good sergeant joining us. JD seems to be busy. He's not. I don't know if he's at his desk.
He is. I was just talking to him.
Oh, okay. He's here, but oh, and Akila says hi, Serge.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Akila.
Yes, I'm going to, and Tracy says hello as well. I'm going to try and, excuse me,
Not cough on me?
not coughing you. I'm scrolling back to try and find. Oh, that's actually right there. Okay, cool. I can put Word back on the screen because I'm not seeing JD's questions. Word. No, it's not. It's web. Microsoft Word. Every time I close it, it keeps pulling me back in to paste more questions in. There we go. So it's warm in here.
It's not bad. Yesterday was worse.
Yes, compared to yesterday, this is wonderful. However, yes.
Yes, you weren't around for the last couple of days. It's been rather warm in here. We got air conditioning fixed.
We were really?
Yes.
This is with air conditioning?
Oh yeah. This is way better noise.
Okay. What do we have here? Anything on the plate? Oh, there's a lot of conversations here. Anything that covers the plate, any part of the plate, the readable plate? No, any part of the plate, period. Even the white, non-printed portion.
Even the corners, any part of the plate.
Yes. Technically, the entire plate must be clearly visible.
That's one charge. But if it covers any part of the reasonable or readable plate,
It's a different.
it could be confuse identity, obstruct, all those things. So there could be additional charges.
It gets more serious. Big Daddy says, hello, officer. Can you be pulled out for having one of two plate lights out? That's an interesting question. Can you be pulled over? Well, you can be pulled over.
For having one of two plate lights out. So
yeah.
I'm going to answer it. If the manufacturer had to spend extra money to put in two light bulbs to illuminate the plate properly, I'm going to say if one of them is out, the plate was not illuminated properly. So Transport Canada would say, no, you haven't met the criteria that makes this compliant in Canada. You have to spend more money to put two light bulbs in to illuminate this plate completely.
Yeah, I would say that even if your plate lights are working, you can be pulled over. So really the question is, would you be charged? And if you had one out, I probably wouldn't charge you, but I'd probably let you know that you're about ready to get another, on the realm of being charged. That might be a warning. If you have no plates, that's me. It's an individual. You could be charged, absolutely. But there's the possibility of being charged. I would have given a warning for one of two, but if you have none, you're definitely getting it.
And so would I. But that is not everybody.
This is true. And you're eligible for a ticket, absolutely. If you're not illuminating your license plate with the appropriate 3 candela of power.
And illuminating the entire license plate.
Yes.
My pickup truck has one light on one side of the license plate and one light on the other because it cannot have one that it illuminates the center at the top or the center at the bottom.
Yeah. And of course, you can only use white light. That is the only white light permitted on the rear of your vehicle. Uh, okay, we talked about this. We talked about that. Can you have active? Oh, it's a JD question. JD's here. Can you have active underglow lights on your vehicle? Active underglow. If active means on, underglow lights have to be installed in such a way that they do not project light outward. They cannot be visible to the front to the back. Like you can't be shining light out. I would not use them on the road. You could be charged, and because a lot of this comes down to the interpretation. One officer, like, and you and I did differ on
Yep,
this to some
absolutely.
degree. We have a difference of opinion. I think that if it's just glowing off the ground and it's not shining outward, I don't have a problem with it. But if Sarge sees it, he might have a problem with it. Like,
If I stand in front of your vehicle or I'm driving at your vehicle and I see a light cast forward that is being emitted from your vehicle, even if it bounces off the ground, especially if that light is red, absolutely, I'm stopping you.
it's not no one's intended to have these lights. It's not required for any purpose. It's to look cool or not cool, depending on your perception and interpretation of.
It
of
was
underglow.
cool like 10 years ago.
20,
20 years
18,
ago?
15. I don't have, but again, it's going to really depend on the officer who's investigating. One person might say, I really dig your underglow. And the other person says, your ticket is going to be here. So your mileage may vary. But certainly there's no absolute you're allowed situation. That's for certain.
Yep.
Ben, can you be pulled over for, we talked about that. So if I buy a car and the dealer has a plate cover on it and I request it to be removed, they have to. What if they refuse and I don't have any tools to do so? That's an interesting question. I would hope that any car dealer that is selling you a vehicle would comply with your request as a customer. I would hope.
Absolutely. You're the customer. You're buying the vehicle. You're giving them the money, and they want to get some free, unlawful advertising
That you're responsible for.
literally on the rear of your car. Yeah, I wouldn't be buying a car there.
Yeah, I agree. I would not finish the deal, and I would refuse to accept the vehicle in that state. And I can't imagine any dealer saying, "But no, I really want it." Like,
So personal opinion of mine, I absolutely would never have a plate cover on, no matter what, especially if it advertised something. I don't even like them putting the stickers on the car. Like
oh
a
no,
little corner
that's
that
where you take the
advertise-
fishing line and the hot, you take it right off.
Absolutely. No,
I would
I'm-
never have that on my car.
No, I'm not. First of all, it identifies your car and makes it stand out a little bit, where you can be identified later. But I'm not here to advertise for you.
There was a period of time when I thought Hondas were actually, all had from factory that name. There's one dealer that used to be at Young and Steeles, and they had like chrome lettering the same as the Honda, and all of their cars had they came with that adhesive letters. I just assumed that was part of the model name when I was a kid.
I worked at a car dealership, multiple car dealerships growing up, and it's somebody's job when it gets prepped for delivery to put on that little sticker.
Hey, if you're watching and you don't know who we are, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and with me is Sergeant Murray Campbell, a sergeant with the Toronto Police Service. And together, we sit here and talk to you occasionally.
Yeah, when we have time to do, we make the time. It's an important thing we do, I think.
No
And
doubt.
other people believe that as well.
But somebody asked why do we ever work?
Well, I couldn't come in earlier because I was working.
You're working, but
And am I working now?
well, it's still work.
It's fun work.
It is fun work. I haven't been on for the last 2 days because I've been off-site doing training. So we don't always do it. We try to do it every day. It's our best efforts. And when we don't do it, we try and put some pre-recorded content up. But it's our goal to always be here for you, at least Monday to Friday. And we're going to be experimenting with some different times because Jerry Yeager has moved his time slot, so we're moving with him.
Oh, that Jerry Yeager.
Yeah. So earlier we were talking about speeding to the hospital with someone who's dying and why can you do it? Can you legally do it? And when I said you can't legally do it, the response is, why do ambulances speed then? Because they're legally permitted to do it with a professional trained driver with lights and emergency equipment, and they're also doing it within reason. They can't just go as fast as they can. They have to go as fast as they can while also taking into consideration safety.
Balancing safety.
Yeah.
And you know what? When you have the equipment and the authorization to do so, because you're acting within the course of your duties, and you have lights that are visible 365 degrees and a siren that puts out a certain number of decibels, it could be.
In addition to that, there is a little something called an emergency run. Like it's not just go as fast as you can when you're in an ambulance. It is go quickly within reason and stop at every red light, because you have to do that even if you have emergency equipment on, and then you can proceed. But when I was in my collision, there was an emergency run. They had police officers across the city go to specific route points and shut down that intersection in anticipation of the arrival of that ambulance, so they wouldn't even have to slow down. When it's a life and death situation, we do that because that's something we do.
We do that for members of the public. We do that for a whole bunch of circumstances. So if there is a police officer there controlling the intersection and the intersection is shut down and the ambulance is waved on, they do not have to come to a complete stop, because the officer being in the intersection overrides the automatic traffic signal that's there.
Yes. Only condition.
That's the only time.
Zach would like to know if someone stole your plate and you drove your car without noticing that lack of plate. Well, what then? Well, could you still, if you got pulled over and I, as the officer, asked you that question and you went, what? And it's possible that you'd get a warning. It's possible that I would assist you with a report for the stolen plate, and if you were falsifying that information, you could be responsible for that. You'd be charged for false police report. But things happen. Could you still get the ticket for it? You could.
I find it very unlikely that somebody would steal your plate between the time that you did your circle check before jumping into your vehicle.
Circle check? What's that?
And started driving down the road.
This is one of the reasons why a circle check is so important. We have people who steal plates all the time. License plates. More in the morning, John Moore had his license plate stolen at work. And then, he called me to find out, what do I do? So he put a police report in. That's a problem, but you have to do that circle check. You have to be aware of your stuff. What if you had a flat tire? Like, there are reasons to do a circle check. You don't want to drive down the street on your rim, which now destroys your rim.
Yep.
Just because
you got a headlight out.
Oh yeah, you're responsible.
Yep, absolutely are. And if you lose your license plate, guess what? Somebody's probably taken it for a nefarious type of purpose.
Yes, like possibly to use the 407 or steal a car. Bad things. People don't take plates because they're just good neighbors.
Yeah.
Actually, Danielle wants to know when the next car training is, please, and also where is it located? Have a lovely day. This one was at a police facility. It was a train-the-trainer event for police members. What we plan to do in the near future is have clinics where we do inspections and education for parents so that they can make proper installations. But we probably won't have a train-the-trainer event for anyone outside of the police service.
You're talking car seat
passenger safety technician stuff.
Because we do have car inspection kind of stuff. Then it happens randomly, and it could be commercial motor vehicles. It could be all sorts of car inspections that we conduct randomly too.
And that's a big thing. Still on the car seat side of things, every vehicle I stopped when I was on the road that had a child passenger seat installed, I did a check, whether there was a child in it or not. It was my opportunity because I'd previously been the CPST qualified, and I know what to look for. I checked them all, and when parents were, a little bit off, we corrected it, and if they were way off, they would get charged because there's certain things like not buckling a child. That's not a warning; that's a ticket.
Yeah.
Safety, Whitney Houston thing, the children on the future, blah blah blah. Yeah. Chase registered a trailer. They said it's valid in the system until 2027. Why that date? I don't know.
So trailers or vehicles that don't have to be renewed or didn't have to be prior to the change in legislation always had a date of 2027.
Oh.
It was a random date that they picked up. It's happened like that since the 80s, the 70s.
And now we're getting close. They're going to have to pick a new date.
They're going to have to, because that was the date they figured never would come, but we're getting there.
Here's a question about Ministry of Natural Resources officers, and I'm already going to tell you I don't know what their role or responsibilities are, but let's say if they see someone driving in a way that poses a risk to others, can they stop the vehicle and request police, even if it's not their responsibility for enforcing the HTA? That sounds reasonable.
So they're special constables. They have the Provincial Offences Act powers. They can stop vehicles. That's why they have red lights and stuff on their vehicles. Can they stop it? Their job is to stop them for offenses that are not Highway Traffic Act. But depending on depending on what special constable it is, I have a neighbor. He works for the Ministry of Finance, and he is a provincial fences officer and checks trucks for diesel and can stop anybody just to check. If he sees somebody driving in a manner, he can use his powers to stop them.
Makes sense.
So there you go.
Okay.
And good for them for doing it. Call us and we'll
Do what needs
rectify
to be
the
done.
situation. Yeah.
Chase says, if I'm in the leftmost lane directly next to the HOV lane, am I supposed to pull over into the HOV lane and pull to the curb there because it's the closest curb or edge of roadway? So I'll tell you, first of all, we really always want you to go to the right. It's for reentry into the highway after we're finished stopping you. Like, it just makes more sense to keep it in the slowest lane possible. If it was gridlock situation where no one could move anywhere, then you go to the closest. But in 99% of the situations, it's moved to the right.
You know what? There's an additional risk if you're moving across the HOV lane because the speed differential could be so much different.
Well, people
So-
think the HOV lane is a fast lane. It's not. It's just a lane to bypass traffic. But there should be always a maximum speed differential. No one should be doing a tremendous speed over to stop traffic.
No, it
Shouldn't be. People don't realize it, and then we see gruesome collision videos. If Google HOV and collision, and you see people who someone pulls out and just gets obliterated because someone's doing 100 to 0.
Right. Or you mean somebody's doing more than 100.
Yeah.
If that were, possible and legal.
How does a speed camera work? No front plate. Well, it's the rear plate is what they're looking at.
Not always.
True, but
Not always. Depends on the municipality if they get you coming or going.
And I guess if you have no front plate and they work with you with no front, if you have no front plate and they rely on the front plate, I guess you're not getting a ticket.
I guess not.
Just speculating. If someone breaks into your house, can you tell them you're a police officer to maybe scare them? Listen, you do you. That could go very badly. Obviously, you're not allowed to impersonate a police officer. It's against the law. What if it's the police when you think they're breaking in, but they're affecting a warrant? I would not do that. Also, you think it's going to scare them. It may actually cause them to go to a next level where they choose to use weapons because they think that you've got one. Like the chances of them amping up because they're now scared is actually real.
Yep, absolutely. I wouldn't, even if I am a police officer, unless I had to act in the capacity as a police officer. If I'm just a homeowner, I would act as the capacity of a homeowner.
Yeah, a long time ago. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't like, people knowing what I do.
You should,
Especially when I'm
you should
off
probably
duty.
stay off the internet. The people might recognize you.
Well, I mean, in my own home life, I make a great witness.
Yes.
And unless I have to do something, which I have done in the past, unless I have to.
Yeah. I a long time ago, I took a concealed weapons course in Florida when I was living there, and I remember the sheriff at the time, or the deputy who was teaching the course, and he said, if you ask the scenario, you're at a 7-Eleven and you're armed, and someone comes to rob the 7-Eleven, do you go engage them with your firearm? And people are like, yeah, and he's like, no. There's a one-on-one rule. That could be one of the two people. You don't know who the other people are. You sit and you wait. He says, even if it was me, there'd be a certain situation where I have to be able to determine the whole of the event, and putting yourself at risk and taking yourself out of the game is not the goal. The goal is to catch the bad guy, but when you have the ability to do so safely, within reason. And they were talking about the civilian course. Anyway.
Yes.
What do we got here? Chantel, can you get a DUI on a bicycle? We had a lot of conversations about this. It is not currently written that way. Other jurisdictions it is.
Yes. So there is a change in legislation that changed it from motor vehicle to conveyance.
Mm-hmm.
A bicycle, although being a conveyance, is not considered a motor vehicle, first of all. But other similar things, case law has determined a canoe,
Excuse me.
because it fits the criteria of a vessel,
Yes.
falls into that. So a muscular-powered canoe, and it's held up in court, and there's case law to support it, you can get an impaired. A bicycle, not so far, but it may happen.
Yes. At the end of the day, you're putting yourself at risk. You're putting potentially others at risk. And people say, well, it's a bicycle. What harm can be done? We've seen people both get killed on bicycles as well as kill other people. It's less frequent an event, but it's a possibility. And, obviously safety being key.
So it'll take a court decision to determine whether a bicycle is a conveyance. Currently, right now, it is drugs and alcohol in the motor vehicle or a vessel.
I like it. Next question. We talked about this already. Michael tried waving his hands in front of a speed camera and was not able to trigger. That's good to know.
You got to wave pretty fast.
Yeah, at 60 kilometers an hour fast, or more than the speed limit anyway. Do cyclists get charged for attempting to ride on a highway? So I don't know how you attempt. You either ride or you don't ride. But yeah, they're access-controlled highways, because any highway, any road in the province of Ontario is a highway, but the ones that are expressways, or that you're referring to as a highway, are actually considered, what's it called, restricted
Controlled access.
Controlled access. Lost the word after I said it.
So provincial highways, yes, it falls under the Highway Traffic Act. City highways, if deemed such, there is a bylaw that covers it.
So yes, they could be charged. The primary concern is their safety, because the reason that they're not supposed to be on a controlled access highway is because it's unsafe. Yeah. But we see cyclists, we see pedestrians, not a good look, getting smushed. John Westhaver, hey, how's it going, John? Good to see you. He says, you guys are doing a great job. Every province should have a show like this. I agree. So if you have someone from every province you'd like to direct to us, we would happily tell them how to do it, and they should do it. Until then, we're pulling all the weight.
How do they get two good-looking guys like us?
Well, I didn't say they'll be perfect like us.
Okay.
But, they can make an effort, and we maybe.
I'm good looking. I'm the eye of the beholder, I guess.
Yeah. Someone will like them. At the end of the day, we'd love to see this being done by everybody, because we think it's an important tool for not only engaging the public and being available to do this stuff, but because traffic safety is so important. And the more you know, the better the decision potential is that you'll make. That's the theory. But we talk about a lot of stuff that isn't traffic, really. And we talk about dad jokes and donuts and stuff like that. Donuts. What do we hear? If I have a regular cab truck, can I put a child 5 years old in a car seat, illegal or not? So there is no law that prevents someone from putting a child in the front seat with the appropriate child protection device required by law. So a 5-year-old of a certain height and weight will require a certain type of seat, but there's nothing that prevents you from putting it in a vehicle that doesn't have a back seat. Back seat is best. We prefer it back seat until the age of 14. But the reality is, if you have a two-door vehicle, that's not an option for you, and there's nothing to stop you. I will say this: put the seat in the furthest position away from the airbag. Airbags deploy at over 200 miles per hour and can kill small children or even small adults. They're dangerous. They work in conjunction with seat belts. But you don't want that exploding. And the only time that you cannot put a child in the front seat, I believe, is going to be a bucket, a rear-facing bucket. I don't think those are permitted as per manufacturer in conjunction with airbags, unless you can disable the airbag, I think.
So I would.
It's not a law. It's not a law. It's improperly.
It's improperly installed.
It's improperly installed.
But it is not unlawful.
But if you're,
it's not. So I had a discussion with one of our policing partners at my child's safety event, where he truly, honestly believed that a child seat could not be put in the front, and there was an age limit, and there was he was confusing the two things.
Yes.
The age limit for the booster seat with the position of the booster seat. So
well, here's and this is why, just because I just did the course, and I'm mushing a whole bunch of thoughts and things together. If you have a child that does not fit the child's car seat, that's not a legal seat. So that would be a ticketable offense. If you have a child seat that requires certain things in order for it to be safely installed, and it's not installed as per the manufacturer's requirements, is that not a safe seat for it now? It would be not for this position a charge, potentially for not having got installed the seat properly. But it's murky. At the end of the day, it could be dangerous, thus you should not, if the manufacturer says not to. Because at the end of the day, their device only works, and they will only stand up to it, if if it was done properly. And I'll tell you a quick story, and you can go watch the episode. We played it yesterday, and you can go to YouTube or any of one of actually even the week before we played it. It's an interview with a CPST by the name of Erin Jones. She was in a collision head on. In that collision, 2 of her children died. They were in booster seats, and the child in the middle was in a front-facing child seat. It was all legal, but it was unsafe. And the child in the car seat died. One of her children in a booster seat died. Her sister-in-law died. She was in the front seat. Like it was a terrible accident. And doing things differently may not have changed the outcome, but it could have increased the odds. And that's a question that I guess will always haunt her. And she said something to that effect. But if you know that airbags are dangerous, it is. I get it. Something that you may not be able to do, but disabling that car seat is something you can pay like $3,500 or something. You can get it disabled if you don't have a key turn off. Some seats have a sensor in them that disable the car seat. Anyway, we're really going home on this.
That's deep into the woods.
Deep into the woods.
Yeah.
Yes. My 19-year-old is driving with a suspended license and no insurance. How can I make him stop? Is it his car? Because if it's your car, you're not only well, I'm assuming it's not your car if there's no insurance. But
Yeah, if it's your car, you can be charged as well.
yes, yes.
It's your car. You control your car. If it's their car, you know what? We can assist you in making him stop.
Yes. It's
So-
a difficult conversation.
Yeah.
They may not like you much afterwards, but you know what? If the horrible situation of them getting involved in a collision is the result, what's going to happen is they're going to be for the rest of their life paying for what their choices are.
And you, depending on your relationship or whose car or the ownership, you may be held liable for that as well, civilly liable.
Yeah.
So
Not-
pick your poison, which one you want to do, and make it better right now and have somebody upset with you, or, pay the consequences later.
At the end of the day, you're looking out for their best interests. All right. What is the limit for front windows? Is a tint question, and it is nearly 11. Once 11 o'clock hits, we won't be taking new questions, but we will answer whatever's left in the queue. So ask now or forever. We'll wait until Monday. It's not forever, hold your thumb, but it's Monday when we'll be back. Okay, so tint limit for front windows. If you're talking about windshield, it is 0. If you're talking about the windows directly left and right of the driver, technically for the purposes of certification, it is going to be 30%. That means that you can certify a vehicle with that tint. But what happens when you certify the vehicle and then you tint it afterwards? It's already certified. Well, you've now created an unsafe motor vehicle. You lose your license plates. But even if it's not beyond the 30%, but it's dark enough that we can't see inside, maybe due to, I don't know, it being nighttime and dark outside, atmospheric conditions, that would be a charge eligible. It's a lesser charge. It's eligible called obscure interior motor vehicle with color or reflective coating, and that would be an obvious thing. So, really, it's if I can't see you, I can't see if you're wearing your seatbelt, using your cell phone, drinking alcohol, picking your nose, whatever it is. If I can't see you, it is not legal. And
You probably don't want to see you picking your nose,
I don't want to.
but I have to be able to.
I have
Should
to be able
want
to. Yeah, some things you can't unsee.
And the
I've seen
windshield.
That's a hard no.
I've seen people with tinted front windshield. I think that is just that's even worse than tinted taillights.
It is super silly. It's super silly, and it's so avoidable. It is sunglasses. Like, it's sunglasses. No one can give me a story as to why they need tinted windows.
Nope, absolutely.
I get the idea of reducing solar load, but you know what? There's already a coating there for that. It's clear. You can't see it, but it's there. What do we got here? For some reason, that one, okay, Michael says the emergency services are probably better drivers. Okay, that's a background discussion in response to why do ambulances speed. Are officers exempt from distracted driving laws? As a matter of fact, they are. Distracted driving laws have an exemption for a number of people. Police, fire, and ambulance are a group. Ham radio operators, if they're licensed, are another. Excuse me. Then there's also people who are in the business of doing certain things. You can do there's some basic messaging information for couriers. They're allowed to access certain terminals. It's very specific. If you're in that industry, you know what your exemptions are. But it's the goal is safety. So even though we're exempt, we prefer not to use our equipment whenever possible. But we are, as police, required to do certain things in order to do our jobs.
So we are exempt from the distracted driving law. We are not exempt from careless driving.
This is right.
And if we're using it and not being careless with it, we're exempt. But as soon as we become careless with it, then not only are we liable under the Highway Traffic Act, but we're also under our own Police Services Act as well. So
We can be held responsible. We prefer you pull
two
over.
times over.
Yes, we get double. Taze TL says or asks, is it true that they're thinking about getting rid of front license plates? There was a discussion about it. However, that has come and gone. It was determined that it is not safer or that it's not worth it because it's safer to have two because we can double the chances of identifying motor vehicles. Think about Amber Alerts, stolen vehicles, people who are running away from the police. We want as many opportunities to catch those people. And for that reason, yeah.
ALPRs.
Yes, automatic license plate readers. Why are electric bike power speed limits so low, but most kits readily available are above the limit? Interesting conversation. I love this conversation, this topic. Here's the deal. They are regulated to be a certain speed. Now, I don't mean regulated by the manufacturer. I mean, the law says if it does more than 32, if it's capable of doing 32 kilometers an hour, or more than 32, I should say, it's a motorcycle. In fact, it was always a motor vehicle. It was only through legislation that with conditions allowed to be treated as a bicycle. Now,
For certain regulations, licensing, insuring, and plating.
yes, otherwise they're still
That is it.
responsible.
They're
Yeah.
still motor vehicles.
Right, and but to be treated as bicycles when being used under certain circumstances, and there's a lot of bylaw stuff. Like, for instance, an e-bike that is a pedelec, one that you pedal and it augments the power output and just makes it easier. That can be used anywhere as a bicycle. If you have one that has a throttle, well, you can't go in certain places. If you have one that has a motorcycle or a large body on it that is reminiscent of a motorcycle or a scooter, well, those can't go in bike lanes. So you really need to know the bylaws of the areas that you're going to be operating them in because the rules are different. And if it is something that's modified, and sometimes these are bikes that are modified by way of pulling a wire, and even the ones that are capable with the pull of a wire, I would argue aren't actually legal. But that's a different story. If you have one that can do 80 kilometers an hour, if you pull this little wire out, but it does 32 kilometers with the wire plugged in, is it capable of 80 or is it capable of 32? You have manufacturers and sellers trying to say, well, it's 32, it's legal. I think not, because the motor has to be no more than 500 watts. Not 500 watts limited when the wire's plugged in. Anyway, that's deeper down the rabbit hole that we need to go right now.
That's a discussion we have offline.
Yes.
We may not agree on certain things sometimes, but we'll keep it clear right now.
Yeah. In any case, those are interesting vehicles that I think need license ownership. I think they should be regulated more, personally. We have here those signs that that show current speed. I don't see any accompanying speed limit signs. Why are they not paired so drivers know what speed they should be doing? So signboards are usually posted in conjunction to school zones. They usually flash when someone's going over the speed limit and stay solid when they are in a safe, legal speed limit. Every jurisdiction has their own. York Region versus Toronto versus Peel, they all have their own. They're not a regulated enforcement device. It's an information and education device. So I agree with you. Posted signs make it really easy.
Yeah, I think the speed limit should be posted on there, but either way, you should know what the speed limit is.
Yes, it shouldn't be a guess.
When they're properly posted, they don't, and there are coverall speed limits as well. The City of Toronto, the coverall speed limit is 50 kilometers an hour, if not posted otherwise.
And then you have areas where as you enter, you see a new sign that says area underneath it, and anything in that area until you say you've exited is 30. So they do, I think they have some that are 42, but definitely for 30 zones. All right, it is 11:05. Do you know where your children are? Hopefully mine are in school. We have a zombie with a dad joke. I told a joke during my Zoom meeting today and no one laughed. Turns out I'm not even remotely funny.
I like it.
That is actually,
I like it.
That is excellent.
You know what? I need to, I'm going to steal that one if I can.
Yes, and you can be remotely funny. Here, we're behind a couple of dad jokes because we were away, or I was away. And by the way, good morning, Richard. Yes, you were late to the party, but we love you anyway. September 6th joke was, I forgot my ruler at home today. Clearly, I wasn't thinking straight.
The funny part was straight. Yeah.
How do you make a water bed more bouncy? Add spring water. That wasn't
That's
that
right out of the 80s.
good.
Waterbeds.
Who's ever slept on a waterbed? I have. I used to have a waterbed.
So did I. I think everybody did back then.
Well, back then it was cool.
No, it was warm.
It depends if you had the heater on. I love spoiling the plot of the picture of Dorian Gray for people. What? I love spoiling the plot of the picture of Dorian Gray for people. Never gets old. I don't get it. Was that a movie about somebody who never gets old?
I don't know.
Garbage.
I got a new pair of gloves today,
You don't say.
but they're both left-handed. On one hand, it's great, but on the other hand, it's just not right.
That's not bad. It could be worse. Let's see here. Any other dad jokes? Come on, it's gonna be a dad joke from the pool of magical people in the interwebs. Slime wants to know if you need a driver's license to ride a dirt bike on the trails.
No, you don't. But it has to be lawful to operate the dirt bike in the trail that you're on.
Uh-huh.
So some trails are limited to, well, your own private property. Some trails are sanctioned by a off-road vehicle club. Some trails are just ATVs only. Some trails are just snowmobiles only. So know before you go, because dirt bikes, there's not an awful lot of areas that do allow dirt bikes.
Too Late You Lose says, dad joke. What did the fish say when it hit a wall? Damn.
Yes.
That's good. I like that.
What do you call a fish with no eyes?
That's right there.
Is it?
I like that one. Those actually the fish joke. I heard from Jose Camacho on one of the September 11th memorial trips, and I was in tears the first time I heard it. Like because he was so animated with his, and I had to think of like what, and I got it anyway. So now I got it, and I like it. I like it a lot. Let's see here. Oil says, is it Oyal? Says, whoa, you guys do lives? That's actually really cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. It is cool. I think it's cool. We're internet folk. We do internet stuff. I saw a TikTok.
Folk and peeps.
Folks and peeps. I saw a TikTok last night, and it was a Gen X guy saying, people say that we shouldn't be on the internet because we're old, and he wanted to remind everybody that we brought you the internet. Like, the internet wasn't here until we brought it, and we dealt with dial-up, and he had a whole monologue about it. It was fantastic. I will send it to you. Maybe I'll share it. Let's see here. I think we're done. I think it's time to say goodbye. It is weekend time, and I hope that everyone has a magical one. We are back on Monday. I believe that Monday is the day that is next where we work again. There's no holidays this weekend. I get surprises of holidays that I wasn't expecting.
I'm actually supposed to be on vacation next week.
Oh.
Supposed to be not around, but some stuff has come up, and I have canceled my vacation. So I won't be here Monday, but I'll be here during the week.
Cool.
I have a bunch of other stuff I have to get done. So
yes, next week is going to be an interesting week. Tuesday in particular. It's the 12th of September, and that is the 1-year anniversary of when Andrew Hong, our friend and colleague from Motor Squad, was murdered, and that is going to be a somber day, but it's a somber good day because we're going to remember him and we're going to talk about him, and maybe. All right. With that, I leave you with the song of songs, the traffic song. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, drive sober, don't park illegally, and have fun. We'll see you soon.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some
You're still here. I thought you guys left.
Oh,
Go home. Okay, what movie?
you are at home.
They're probably at home. Actually, how many of you are on the? No, don't be on the road. It's bad. Scrolling down. Bad things happen around my birthday. No, Kayla. Birthday's a good time. All right.
John, go home.
Should I go home too?
No, don't go home.
Yeah, no, just get off the air. All right. Have a great day, everybody. The show's over. I know this is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Come on, everybody knows this. Have a good one.